Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. This one may be a little bit of a longer one. It's a guide about Fairy Tail. I wanted to go over this deck because there has been a lot of question for how the deck works, how it can be played optimally, what are good side deck cards for it, what are good ratios in the main deck, etc. A lot of people don't know yet. This format is very undiscovered, very shallow, let's say. Not everyone knows what to play, so it's very difficult to come up with something good. But I feel like I have cooked something up here. This deck has been getting a lot of attention recently, and it's not because of nothing. The deck actually has some really good pushes, and some really good extenders, some really good plays, cards that can play through multiple hand traps. Uh, and yeah, let's just jump right into it. So before we start, I just want to say that timestamps will be in the description. So please make sure to check them out because I will be over what the cards are doing. If you already know what they do, I suggest you skip over them, but I am going through some specific rulings. For example, what cards are getting triggered by Fairy Tail Snow, and some rulings over Luna being able to bounce without being able to get negated. So yeah. So first things first, let's go over the engine cards of the deck. I will not be going over the non-engine, you should know what these cards do by now. But let's start off with Fairy Tail Luna. This is your best normal summon, going first and going second, because it has a stat line of 1850 attack, and also it being a spellcaster. Why this is important, I will go over that in a second. It has two effects, it being able to search a spellcaster with 1850 attack from the deck to your hand. And once per turn, quick effect, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Your opponent can send one card with that monster's name from their deck to the extra deck to the graveyard to negate this effect. Otherwise, return both this card and that monster to the hand. This effect seems pretty weak, but it's really good against one-ups and in another specific scenario we will go over later. So the monsters you want to search off of Luna are usually Fairy Tail Machgiru and Genia of the Ring. So what does Fairy Tail Machgiru do? Very good card. So basically it serves as an extender. Again, searchable off of Luna because it is a spellcaster with 1850 attack. Also, if you control a spellcaster with original 1850 attack, you can special summon this card from your hand or graveyard. Also, you are locked into spellcasters, but when this card is normal special summoned, you can add one Fairy Tail spell trap or one Fairy Tail Tails from your deck to your hand. Then she has one more effect left, it being you can pay 500 life points and the name of one effect monster your opponent controls becomes Prince of Fairy Tales. So why this is good? Multiple reasons. First of all, it does not target. So you can change, your opponent can basically not dodge the effect of changing the name of a monster in the field. Another reason why it's pretty important is because some cards specifically say target one Doom Z monster you control. Well, their name is not Doom Z anymore. Their name is now Prince of the Fairies. Second reason why it's really good is because of Fairy Tail Luna. Fairy Tail Luna's effect cannot be negated when they do not have a monster to send from the deck or extra deck, which name is Prince of Fairies. So basically, if you play Machgiru and change the name of one of the cards from the field from your opponent to Prince of the Fairies, your Luna can bounce it guaranteed back to the hand. And we have, oh yeah, also, Machgiru usually searches for a Fairy Tail Ball, but if you already have access to Fairy Tail Ball, because you already had it in your starting hand, for example, you would rather want to search Tales of the Fairy Tales or Once Upon a Fairy Tale. So next we have the recently unbanned Fairy Tail Snow, very strong card. I think most of the people know what this card do, but it's a quick effect. From grave, you can banish 7 other cards from your hand, field, or graveyard. You can special summon this card, and when this card is normal special summoned, it's basically a Book of Moon, being able to change one card on the field your opponent controls. Well, it has to be a monster, of course, to face down defense position. This is really good because yeah, I will go over later why this is really good, but basically it triggers Genia of the Ring and it also triggers Once Upon a Fairy Tale. So let's go over Genia of the Ring. Good extender, also locks you into spellcasters, sadly, but basically what it does is you can target one face-up monster on the field, special summon this card, also that target becomes a spellcaster monster. For the rest, her effects are not really relevant, except next time that target would be destroyed, it is not destroyed. Yeah, it locks you into spellcaster from extra deck, and also if this card is tributed, banished, to activate a spellcaster monster effect, you can add her back to the hand. And as we know, Snow banishes. So after Snow banishes Yugioh, you can add her back to the hand. Also, if you use Instant Fusion to special summon, for example, Weaver of the Fairy Tales, and if you go Yugioh, target Weaver of the Fairy Tales, the Weaver of the Fairy Tales will not be destroyed, which still gives you a nice endboard piece. So then we have Crowley the Gifted of Magistus, how I like to call him, Crowley the Brick of Magistus. This guy you do not want to see me in your opening hand. It is a good card because it fusion summons on special summon. It can do so when it's added to the hand except by drawing. When this happens you can special summon it, and when the card is normal special summoned you can fusion summon with basically any card. You can fusion summon one, from any card by using monsters from your hand or field as material. Next is Zora. 2 effects. First effect is you can target one Magistus monster you control. You can equip one card from the extra deck with it. It's usually basically Artemis, spoiler alert. And then you can special summon it. Basically it triggers. You can special summon one level 4 spellcaster monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position, except Zora, but its effects are negated, and you can use each effect of him once per turn. Then Spenta, one of my favorite cards in the deck. It's really good. It has 2 effects. You can discard this card. You always want to go for the first effect. You add one Magistus monster, and then you can also banish Spenta, and then equip one Magistus monster from your extra deck to the graveyard to a monster. Then Releona. Simply, the only effect that will most of the time be relevant here is Releona searches for Bear. Then we have Jenny, Witchcraft for Jenny. This is also another brick. You do not want to see this card in your hand. It's really, really, really bad to have in hand. But basically what it does is when it's in the graveyard with this card, it can banish herself and this card to copy the second effect of the card. That's all she's good for. Then we have Once Upon a Fairy Tale, extremely good card. Another card that actually triggers because of Fairy Tale Snow. When this card is sent to the graveyard as an effect, you can set her, or if she's banished for effect, you can set her. Except when she goes from the field to the graveyard, then you cannot reset. Also, it locks you into spellcasters, but it doesn't matter. This is an end board piece. So what you do is you go into a certain monster and you send this and another card to the graveyard, and then this sets itself so it can play cards like Fairy Tale Snow in your opponent's turn. So next, Vera Magic Lacrima of Light. It has 2 effects. If you control a Magistus or a Witchcraft monster, send one spellcaster or one spell monster from your deck to the graveyard. You usually want to send Jenny so she can copy for the second effect. But you can also use this card. It's really good going second because when your opponent activates an effect, you can chain this card to special summon a Magistus or Witchcrafter monster from your hand or deck, and you usually go for Zora here. Then Fairy Tale Ball, one of the strongest cards in this deck. In my opinion, this is probably my favorite card in the deck because it does so much. So first of all, you can add, when the card is activated, you add one Fairy Tale monster or one Fairy Tale Tales from your deck or banishment to your hand. Your Fairy Tale monsters can attack directly. So that's already 2 effects. You can attack directly and you can search. Okay, let's keep reading. Once per turn, if your opponent special summons a monster and you control a Fairy Tale monster, you can target one effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effect. Okay, that's 3 effects. Also, its name becomes Prince of Fairies. So that's technically a 4th effect. I mean, it's of course in the same effect, but it does 4 different things technically. And what is amazing is it's not like Imprim. Imprim actually negates till the end of the turn. The monster you targeted, it stays negated for as long as it stays on the field, that copy. Well, unless it's, for example, a Mitsuri card gets tributed and it gets special summoned back into the field and it's not negated anymore. But while the card is on the field, it will stay negated, and the name will keep being Prince of Fairies, which is crazy because again, then you get a guaranteed bounce off of Luna. Extremely, extremely, extremely good card. Another thing also that I forgot to mention, Once Upon a Fairy Tale can only be activated if you control a Fairy Tale monster, so don't cheat your opponent, guys, please. Okay, now Tales of the Fairy Tales, very good card. I want to instantly state that this card, the effect to fuse, is soft once per turn. Technically, okay, let's first go over what the card does. The equipped monster gains 1000 attack. Once per turn during your main phase, you can fusion summon one spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand, field, and or Prince of Fairies your opponent controls as material. Another Prince of Fairies effect. If this card is in your graveyard, you can equip this card to one Fairy Tale monster on the field. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon one spellcaster monster with 1850 attack. You can only use the effect. You can only use this effect for Fairy Tale monster once per turn. Basically, you would rather want to equip this from graveyard by sending it with another card I was hinting to. Usually I send these two cards. But that basically fusion summons for you by using any cards from hand or field. Then Mechaba, Omni Negate, Monster Negate, and Pop 1 Res. Omni Negate and Board Wipe if used with Teller of Fairy Tales. Starter and Extender basically, but also all Prince of Fairies on the field become spellcaster monsters. In my opinion, this first effect really never is relevant. During your main phase, you can special summon one Fairy Tale monster from your deck or banish. You can only use this effect once per turn, and if you normal special summon one non-Earth Fairy Tale monster while this card is in your monster zone, you can target one effect monster opponent controls, negate its effect, also its name becomes Prince of Fairies. So, also the second effect is too slow. It also almost never comes up. So this is really only a starter / extender, in my personal opinion. Unless, if you guys find another combo, please let me know in the comments. Zora. Oh, sorry, not Zora. Magistus Chorozo. Basically, it's like I want to say like a Spirit of Yubel. It's basically contact fusion for monsters in the spell and trap zone. It's just a level 4 body and it's also a tuner. Then this is a floodgate with the type of monster that is equipped to it. So, for example, if a link is equipped to a link, monsters on the field cannot activate their effect. Yeah. Fairy Tale Wicked. This is one. Yeah, okay, I'll go later through the weaknesses and strengths of the deck, but this is one of your most important cards. You really want this card to resolve. If you, for example, start with only Spenta or any Magistus card at that, you usually want to bridge into your Fairy Tale engine by going into Fairy Tale Wicked. So, simply put, Fairy Tale monsters you control whose original attribute is light is unaffected by opponent's activated effects. This is also almost never relevant because at this point you only have her on the field, or her and a Magistus card. But the most important effect is you can attach up to 2 materials from this card. Send 2 fairy, basically, yeah, because you detach 2, you can send 2 Fairy Tale cards from the deck to the graveyard. Then also another effect, quick effect while she's in the graveyard. You can target one Fairy Tale monster you control, whose original attribute is light, and then special summon this card, and then, if you do, send that monster to the graveyard. So this card is never summoned, at least in my variant. She's more so only used as an equip for the Zora against the Doom Z matchup to be a floodgate against XYZs. This card is insane. Basically monster reborns, but please also don't cheat. It's only once while this card is face up on the field, so you can only activate this effect once after you summon her. So during the main phase, you can target 2 monsters in your graveyard with the same attribute but different types. So basically it has to be 2 spellcasters, but it cannot be 2 light spellcasters. It has to be, like, for example, a dark and a light spellcaster. Special summon both also until the end of the next turn. This card and the special summoned monster cannot be used as material for a fusion, synchro, XYZ, or link summon. Well, guess who special summons himself as a fusion monster without fusion summoning? Spoiler alert, is Magistus Chorozo. So you could use the 2 monsters that you special summoned as materials for Chorozo. So then we have Summon Sorceress, also a busted card. You give 1 spellcaster card from your hand to your opponent by special summoning where the arrow points to, and you special summon a spellcaster from your deck to the arrow. This card basically is a link 2 that equips a monster from the graveyard to itself, and this very good card. Basically, only thing that's relevant here is when she's an equipped monster to another monster, she can search a Magistus monster from the deck to your hand. So let's go over the strengths and weaknesses of the deck. So the first weakness is you have a little bit too many normal summons. So of course, Fairy Tale Luna being your best normal summon is the card you want to normal summon the most, but sometimes you don't have another option. So for example, if you have Magigiru and Snow in hand, you have to normal summon Snow, which is a really bad normal summon. And when you can only normal summon Majgiru, you're still kind of cooked. There are other normal summons that can happen. For example, when you only have Genia in combination with Ver, you'd have to normal summon Genia, link away to Artemis to be able to use the effect of Ver to send Jenny. Same things when you draw only this, only this. Yeah, you have a little bit too many normal summons. Sometimes you even have to normal summon Jenny, which, as I said before, you really do not want to see in your opening hand. Second problem is, as you can see, you're playing a lot of level 4s, so why are we not playing Excitonite? Well, the problem is you lock yourself into spellcasters a little bit too fast. Majgiru locks you into spellcasters, but also Genie of the Ring. This will be fixed post Endymion support, which will come in the Battles of Legends set. Let's go to Endymion. Also level 4s, we get Ver, we get Regulus, and we get the continuous spell Endymion Empire, which will actually be able, well, this basically searches this basically searches this, and this searches both of them. So yeah, very good new support cards. I'm of course very excited to get them. And yeah, this deck has one more glaring weakness, it being really weak into certain hand traps. Those being Fuvalos, Charmies. You can make a half board, but it's not as good as half boards of the other decks, like for example, Killtoon, Elf Notes, and Doomsy. So as mentioned before, the deck dives to certain interactions and interruptions. You have the obvious ones, but there are also some very specific choke points. For example, Fairy Tail Wicked is a card you always have to go through. It's one of your most important cards. And the problem is, if this gets impermed, you're in a really bad position. So if you want to beat this deck, if you want to know where to imperm, you definitely want to keep your imperm for this card. If you have a Ghost Soaker in hand, you always want to ogre the equipped Artemis. This gets you +2. It searches, but it also gets you a body in the form of Chorozo eventually. So ogering this is very, very, very strong. Another card that's pretty good to interrupt is Summon Sorceress, but I feel like at that point they already usually put up a negate. Thumbs up. So now let's go into the strengths of the deck. The deck has some really interesting strengths. First strength is being it's able to play a lot of non-engine. As you can see, I'm playing 2 Fuva, 3 Ash, 2 Bell, 2 Joel. I'm even playing Instant Fusion. Well, technically that is engine. But I'm also playing Called by the Grave, Cross Out, and 3 Imperms. Of course, you could sacrifice some ratios to play even more non-engine. That is what's very nice about the deck. Then the second thing that is also very nice about this deck is sometimes you have extremely unstoppable hands into multiple opponents' interruptions. For example, let's say your opponent has Imperm Ash or Imperm somehow. With some hands you can just play through it. Nothing is stopping you. You can just keep spamming cards. That is why the Magistus package is extremely strong. It gives you options to extend when being interrupted. So if you open, for example, Luna and Spenta, you're gonna have a good time. So last strength is the going first packages are absolutely insane. You're able to play cards as Cosmo Queen, the Queen of Prayers, which can search you for any field spell. You can search for Necro Valley against, for example, Malice, or you can even search Secret Village of the Spellcasters against Mitsurugi or Sky Striker, which basically just FTKs them. Then, for example, against Killtoon, you can special summon Gravekeeper Shaman absolutely for free, them not being able to activate any effects in the grave. Extremely strong. So yeah, that was it for the strengths and weaknesses. So now let's go into the ratios. These are very straightforward in my opinion currently, pre-Endymion. Let's first go over the actual engine slots in the main deck. So Luna you have to play on 3, it's the best starter you can get. Majgiru, in my opinion, pre-Endymion, you also have to play on 3. It also full combos as a normal summon, being able to search itself later off of Ball and then special summoning itself from hand. It's still a starter technically, which Genia is not. Hence, I play her at 2 and Majgiru at 3. Then Snow, she's limited, but even I think if she wasn't limited, I'd still probably play her at 1. It's not a starter, it's not an extender, it's just an interruption. Well, technically it could be an extender sometimes. I don't really advise it fully because you do burn through your resources. but sometimes you just actually want to do it so you can get your Genia back or your Once Upon a Fairy Tale. So 1 Crawley because it's a brick, 1 Zora because also it is a good normal summon, but at the same time you don't really want to open it. Spenta 3, this is one of the cards you really want to see in hand. Riliona we play at 1. Then same thing, why we play at 1, same thing as Zora. It's basically the same card. It's also normal summon is slightly better normal summon than Zora, at least that's what people tell me. In my opinion, Zora is slightly better than Riliona because Zora cannot get ashed on the equip when it equips something from the extra deck. Of course, yeah, the extra deck search can be ashed, but at least if you have, for example, something you can special summon and Zora triggers and you can special summon it. Yeah, Jenny is a 1-of because you don't want to see her ever. This is a 1-of because it's an interruption. It could also, again, be an extender, but it's not a card you really want to see. Same thing for Tales of the Fairy Tales. The problem is a little bit when this card gets banished, you kind of lost it. So some people may consider playing 2, but I personally like 1 because it's not a card that you want to see in your hand. This card is definitely a 3-of. It's really good for responding to your opponent's card effect. You just, for example, you play your normal summon Luna, your opponent chains Imperm, you just chain Mirror of the Magic, and you get a free body on the field that can extend and go into Wicket. So it's such a strong card. Then Fairy Tale Ball, also, I cannot glaze this card enough. It's insane. It's so good. It's a starter, it's an interruption that stays and also changes the name, so Luna always bounces. Extremely good card. Do I even have to say anything else? That's it for the main deck. Now for the extra deck, I have to say these ratios are exchangeable. For example, because a lot of people are playing Q2 now, you really don't want your Teller and Weaver banished. You don't want that. There's no way for you to get them back. For example, you cannot really special summon them with Once Upon a Fairy Tale, even though it does special summon from the banish. You cannot do that because they were not properly summoned before. So yeah, in my opinion, you should always play 1 Zoroa. Like that's you can't really not play this card. You don't have to play Mechaba. This is a 1 or a 2-of, this is a 1 or a 2-of. In my opinion, Chorozo is a really good 2-of because you either want to equip it or use it to get an extra body on the field by using monsters in the spell trap zone. Same thing with Artemis. You want to have as many targets to equip to your monster as you can. And Wicket has to be a 2-of because this is your biggest choke point. If you lose access to Wicket, you're in a really bad spot. This is a 1-of. You don't really care about this card. You don't see it on the field. It's only for the Floodgate. The Floodgate is also 1-of, and you could even exchange this for example, Upside Frame Gear Omega to hand rip your opponent. But only real problem, in my opinion, is you'd have to start with the Magistus lines before locking yourself into Spellcasters, which can get awkward at times. So then Summon Sorcerers, I think this is also standard at 1, and Charmer Quartet and Bloom, you also standardly play this at 1. Same for this card, also always at 1. So then for the non-engine, very important. These ratios are my preferred ratios. What I can tell you though is if you play Crossout, play the targets. You cannot play Crossout and main deck Super Poly and Droplet. It's just a no-no. Don't do that. If you want to play the quick play package, then please look at this. This is a good example of the quick play package. Of course, the extra deck, don't look at the extra deck, just look at the main deck. You need 2 cards that synergize with Radiant Typhoon Vision, and you know what card really synergizes with Radiant Typhoon Vision? Well, it's Once Upon a Fairy Tale, because it triggers when you discard it off of Vision. Also, Book of Eclipse, relatively cheap card that is really good against Q-Tune. Dropper really good against the meta, Super Poly really good against the meta, Forbidden Crown, excellent card going first and second. This package is better. Me personally, I will not be playing it because Forbidden Crown shot up in price. So Triff, if you can bring the price down for me, I'd appreciate it, thank you. Yeah, so back to the hand traps a little bit. In my opinion, I will put out a tier list of what cards to side in main deck. But basically, this card has become less impact. If you play Favals, I would not play more than 2 personally. So I would go 2 Favals. Ash, still best hand trap you can play. Also, another tip I can give you, don't mix board breakers and hand traps, please. Please don't do it. So basically, why you shouldn't do this. Triff had a very good explanation. A hand trap and a board breaker is less impact than a board breaker and a board breaker. So for example, if you play against Q-Tune and you have Droplet and Super Polymerization, it will do more than an Imperm and an Ash. 99% of the time. Or an Imperm and a Book of Eclipse. Always, 99.9999% of the time. Because board breakers play into a board. And hand traps are more so meant to be interruptions. So people will be telling you that we are in a hand trap format. But in reality, I think personally, more people will be on board breakers. But the format is still not fully out. We haven't seen a lot of results. We haven't seen what the people have been doing. But Sky Striker and Mitsurugi being so prevalent in the meta really makes me think that more people will be on board breakers. So I don't even think running crossout is really that good unless you're playing against Q-Tune. So let's start with the one card combo just with Fairy Tail Luna. So we normal summon Luna, we search for the Magic Hero. I just want to also state these combos are not easy because of course that actually prevent you from fusion summoning, link summoning, synchro summoning, etc. You really have to be careful of those. We want to activate Magic Hero effect here to search for Ball. And now we go effect to search for a Luna. So this Luna will be staying in our hand for a while, but now we will go for Artemis. Artemis and the body we have for the Link 2, and the Link 2 equips the Artemis from the grave to itself. We can go Artemis effect to search for the Spenta, and Spenta will search us for the Crowley. We will not be triggering the Crowley here, but what we will be doing is Spenta effect to equip another monster, and we will go into Magistus Chorozo. Now we can go into the Link 3. Link 3 will give the Crowley to our opponent, and we may special summon a Zora from deck. Now we have a Link 3 and a Link 1, or not a Link 1, a monster, and then we can go into a Link 4. Link 4 will get us back the Zoroa and the Luna. So now we will not be immediately activating Luna. What we will be doing is going for the Zora effect. The Zora effect will equip the XYZ and will trigger to special summon the Chorozo from grave. So now here is a couple of things I have to say. You're allowed to use the Luna as a fusion material if you bounce the Crowley, but keep in mind the Zoroa is kind of a brick. Because of the Charmer Quartet in Bloom, it says the special summon monsters cannot be used as material for fusion, synchro, XYZ, or link summon, but they can be used for a special summon. So Chorozo can still be made under this restriction. So before we do anything else here, we go into the Wick Cat, because the Wick Cat will actually dump us 2 and give us the extra normal summon. This triggers, set, and we will also be able to get Snow in rotation by normal summoning our Luna and searching for a Snow. Where is the Snow? Where is the Snow? There's the Snow. Now we will be activating the Snow. We will be making the Omni Negate using these two. So now we want to bounce the Luna and this to hand, Crowley effect, special summon the Crowley effect to go into the fusion. So now we go fusion effect, we equip whatever, it really does not matter. I would personally prefer Artemis because it's also technically follow-up, but usually you will be using this monster negate anyways. We have Snow Quick effect. We can revive both Snow and Luna at the same time with Once Upon a Fairy Tale. We have the Omni Negate and we have the Ball. This is a lot of interruptions. Extremely strong board only with one Luna. So let's go with the Spenta combo now. So this is the strongest one card combo there is. We start out by activating Spenta. We search for the Riliona. Normal summon Riliona, search for the Vare. We link away the Riliona. And we go effect, send the Jenny to the graveyard, Jenny effect, special summon the Zoroa. Now, we do not want to trigger the Artemis at any point here. We go effect, we will equip an Artemis from the extra deck, and Zora will not trigger here because we're trying to play under Nibiru. Effect, search Crowley, Crowley triggers. Effect, we use as a fusion material for Zoroa these two. Effect, equipped from the grave, we do not want to negate our own effect. Then we go Spenta effect, Spenta to equip to our Zoroa, we will equip the XYZ. Now we may trigger the Zoroa, because we already have a monster negate set. So we special summon the Crowley, the two equipped monsters from Zoroa. We want to make Chorozo with that. So before we lock ourselves into spellcasters, we want to make a synchro. So we make Omega. We go Omega effect, rip a card out of the opponent's hand. Then we go Releona effect. We equip to this guy. And we make another Chorozo. So we have two level 4s on the field. We may go into our Fairy Tail cards. So we go effect, send these two. And now we are going to send Magigiru and the Tales of the Fairy Tail. So we go Magigiru effect, special summon, effect, search for Ball. Then we will activate Ball. Ball will search us another Luna, which we are able to normal summon because of the resolution of Tails. Effect. And we will now add Snow. Now here we can do different things, but what I like to do is Fusion Summon. So yeah, we have a Fairy Tail Snow in the graveyard, ready to banish 7 cards and be a Book of Moon. And we also have an Omni Negate, Monster Negate, and Pop with Zoroa, and we have a Invoke Mechaba in our opponent's turn, because once we pass, our opponent breathes, and we go effect, target, get back to hand, trigger, special summon, effect, and we go into our Mechaba. Very strong combo. You have the Fairy Tail Snow Book of Moon. You have the negate off of Ball because you control a Fairy Tail monster. And you have the monster negate and technically an Omni. One thing that I love about this deck is you can just freestyle combos. So for example, here I'm starting the same up as in the first combo I showed. But instead, I'm actually going to take a different path this time. The cool thing about this deck again is you're just able to freestyle and just be free. It's not a linear deck. Sometimes it does try to do the same thing to get the most optimal play end board, but as you can see, I'm just sitting here enjoying my combos. I'll just get the extender here, why not? And instead of a negate, let's go for another extender, see what that does for us. So we go effect, we get access to the snow, so we have her engrave, and we can go for the link 1 Artemis, then we can go for the link 2. Link 2 equips the Artemis from the grave. Now we can go for the, where is she, Spenta. So yeah, now we could go Spenta effect and search. But it's up to us. The options are really up to us. We already, for example, went to the Fairy Tail stuff, so it's not necessary to have a bridge anymore to the Wicket. But if you really want to, we can also just go Genia effect. This doesn't do anything extra for us, but for example, Spenta can now search for the Crowley. Crowley triggers. Can special summon itself effect. We can special summon this monster, and then we can have the effect of the monster to equip the link 1 from the grave. But now we have Spenta in grave also, which can give us another equip. So we equip whatever, it really does not matter in this case, I believe. Now we go for the Chorozo. Now here we have different lines. We can actually go for the Synchro. Yeah, we can go for the Synchro, but we technically could also go for the Link 3 by special summoning back the Snow. Only thing is we don't really have anything in hand right now. So it depends also the things you equip. You actually use for what you play against. For example, against Duzine, you want to keep this card in the extra deck so you can equip it. So yeah, this looks like a bad board, but you have a floodgate on the field. It's a monster negate. This is an interruption, and once upon a Fairy Tail, we'll be special summoning back Snow, and then when Snow gets off of the field, we can special summon her back again. Again, this was just a freestyle combo. I was having no plan. You're just, I mean, for the lack of better words, clicking buttons. Uh, and that's what's fun about this deck. It just can do anything really. So now let's go over the floodgate combo. So of course the floodgate combo you have to do post side decking, but the idea is very simple. If you play against Qtun, you just side in the shaman, nothing else. Well, nothing else. You can maybe side in another going first hand trap, but I meant like you don't have to side in this or this or this. But if you side in the Cosmo Queen of Prayers, which is a extremely, it's basically a blowout against Sky Striker, they really have to be siding a lot of hand traps to be able to get even near stopping you, because this just instantly kills them. If you play the Cosmo Queen of Prayers, you have to play either Secret Village of the Spellcasters. If you play these two, you win against Mitsurugi and against Sky Striker. And if you play Cosmo Queen plus Necro Valley, it is pretty good against, for example, Malice or another deck that likes to move their cards from the graveyard. So let's take Cosmo Queen as an example here. We go normal summon Luna. Luna searches for the Magic Hero. Effect, special summon, search for the ball. We activate the ball here, and ball searches us for another Luna. So what we do here is we go into this and go into the link 2. Link 2 equips the link 1 from the grave. Now we go effect and we search for this. We go effect, Crowley, but we do not trigger Crowley. Instead, spenta, equip another link. We go into the fusion. We go into the link 3. And the link 3 will be special summoning our floodgate. Of course, we will not instantly be activating the effect because the card is negated. So we first want to go into the quartet. Quartet will special summon the Luna and the floodgates. Well, the floodgate searcher more so than the floodgate, but yeah. So I personally suggest we don't instantly activate this Luna effect. I would first go Queen, pop, search, effect. No. So yeah, now we can do so many things. What? Oh yeah. We can go effect, bounce, special summon. We don't really have anything to use, but now, for example, we can go like this. Effect, trigger, and we can also normal summon our Luna, get our snow in rotation. Effect, get snow in rotation. And even if you want to here, we can go fusion effect and we can make her, and we can leave a Luna in hand or the snow in hand. So yeah, me personally, I'd go like this. So this may look like not much, but your opponent cannot activate spells. You have an Omni Negate. You special summon the Luna from the grave and Snow from hand, and you can keep spamming Snow. And also, your cards cannot be destroyed by battle because of the Teller. So this, in my opinion, is extremely solid. Again, you can freestyle. That's the fun thing about this deck. I bet you can keep going. As a matter of fact, I know someone in the comments will have a better combo. Just let me know in the comments. I will make sure to pin it so everyone can see it. So yeah, I hope this video was nice. I hope you guys learned something from it. I will definitely be posting lists and gameplay in my Discord server, so please make sure to join up in the description. I will be putting it there. So yeah, you can also ask questions on there. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye bye.